Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
Here locally in the community, make sure y'all go check out Meat Cat Body by Jeremy Campbell.
That's right, it's Smoking Jeremy B. Fresco from the front porch right here at home. We got Paul Jones, Ricky Sakat, and Moonscar Blade in the chat. So far, there has been no cuts at all from the Lions. I'm watching the transaction wire while we're sitting here, but I do have some NFC North cuts to talk about. Matt Corral, Dwayne McBride, Sammy Reyes, Mo Ibrahim, Jalen Williams, Neil Johnson, Justin Hall, Owen Poor, Chuck Filiaga, Doug Nestor, Matt Cindric, Spencer Rollin, Tyler Manoa, and A.J. Green III are all cut from the Vikings. Yes, and I'm out here showing you exactly why I'm smoking Jeremy B. What's up, people? So no cuts were done, so we can get into it. Jake Funk finally had a touchdown this preseason. I don't think that helped his case to make the roster. Matt Henry in the chat saying good morning. It is good afternoon here, but I get it. I know your central time zone being where you're at. Let's see. Hendon Hooker started out rough versus the starters, but the whole offense started rough against the starters. He maintained composure versus the second string, got us back into that game. Kudos to him. Jameer Jefferson showed signs of life. Do I think he made the roster? Maybe. I think he just cemented himself on the practice squad myself. Jake Funk's got to go. That's all I got to say. I mean, he really didn't do enough for me. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a horrible outing. He missed run blocking assignments. He ran wrong routes. Nope, they didn't even really give him a chance to play in the game. And I don't think he had a shot anyways with who they have at the top three to make that roster, Moonscar Blade. But I think Mo Ibrahim, he has so many miles on him from playing in college. I think he'd be better suited going to the CFL or the UFL. Darren Ryan saying good morning, JB. We got the purple boy in the chat, as Yoli likes to call him. Running back room is so deep, it's going to be tough to compete in that room. Yeah, I so far, I don't see anybody that supplanted themselves above Vaki, Reynolds, Gibbs, or Monty. Oh, Yoli, bringing that heat. Good morning, Purple Boy. Second top fan. Love you all. You guys are great. It's great to see you all here. We got Green Girl in the room. Yes, yes. She's always in the room. Studfeld didn't even play a snap. Jake Fromm looked way more composed in his limited time here than Sudfeld looked the entire time. Hendon Hooker did good versus the second string when he had his chance to shine. Gophers used and abused. Mo, not much tread left. Exactly. That's why I think he'd be better suited in the UFL or the CFL. No need to fear Studfeld is here. Stop it. Nate Suckfeld's got to go. I would keep Jake Fromm over Nate Sudfeld. He looked way more composed. 6 for 8, 75 yards. Helped set up the last two scores for the team. I, I just I just think he looked way more composed than I ever saw Sudfeld look. I'm pulling for bets too. Hey, now watch it when speaking on my golden rodents. Hey, I didn't say that like it's a bad thing. The golden rodents, they've had to depend on the running game because they haven't had much in the QB rooms there. I mean, just saying. Am I wrong? Your running game is your offense for the Golden Gophers. If a team can stop the run game, it becomes one dimensional, and the pass game's not that great for Minnesota. That's what I've seen for years in the Big Ten. I remember Sudfeld at Indiana where he had a game where he threw like 4 picks versus Michigan. I was like, wow, this dude sucks. Then he ends up on my pro roster. Imagine that. Yeah, I know. I personally would keep Jake Fromm over Sudfeld as the emergency quarterback. I just feel like I saw more out of him in that quarter he played than I saw out of Sudfeld in the three or four quarters he played. Betts had a sack that was negated due to a penalty. I was really excited when I heard the sack, and then they said, "Oh, there's a flag on the play," and it was holding by a defensive back that gave them a free first down. James Houston finally showed up. Granted, it was against third stringers, but he still showed up. Our ancestors won 790, so we could get lazy. That's how I see it. Scouting is terrible, and coaching can be better, in my opinion. Hey, that's an honest assessment. Goff, Hooker, Jake from State Farm has to be our QB room. That's what I think. But what do I know? They may keep Suckfeld. I don't know. They seem to like him. And if it does, it lends credence that he has that thumb drive that Benito Jones and Will Harris with those incriminating photos of the coaching staff. That's all I got to say. Uh, Wide receiver room, Maurice Alexander finally showed up this preseason, having 6 catches yesterday. He looked good. Uh, DPJ, though, very disappointing. Fred Peterson, good afternoon. It's a great day to be a Lion, one pride. Do we keep 6 wide receivers out of this wide receiver room, or are we looking for the sixth out of people who get cut? Who knows? I don't know what they're thinking in Allen Park because they have said they're going to look to it. They will keep Suckfeld because he has prior experience. Yeah, I know. I hate that idea, though. A guy that came in here in a week looked better on the field in that quarter than Suckfeld looked all preseason, in my opinion. Yeah, Henry says, I know. I'm just trolling about you about stuff. I know, kid. Hey, I get it. Oh, man. It's good to be outside. Yes, I know. I get it. It's all fun. Um, Rumors are the Bears may trade Bajent, using him as trade bait. I don't like it. They should keep him as their number 2, Brett Ripien as their 3, and let the other guy go to the practice squad, in my opinion. This is real. I'm outside. Woo, yeah, look, no Zoom. I decided to go outside today. I wanted to go off fresco so you guys can see why I am smoking Jeremy B. Boom. How you doing, as undone? But Betts, if that penalty doesn't happen, would have the exact same stat line as James Houston. And Mikai Wingo, I think, got overbloated PFF stats because what I saw, yes, he had great penetration, but when he ran past that running back, I was like, oof, this is why he's defensive tackle 4 or 5 on the roster. Yes, sir. This is the way I used to do it. It is hot. It's warm. It's muggy more than it's hot. It's only in the 80s. I like this weather. It's good for me to get outside, sweat a little bit. I need to shed some weight. Do I have a sunburn? No, I'm under the porch. I look this color until winter starts again. Um, I did that on Friday. We can go over it again. For some reason, I just feel like they're going to keep DPJ because they talk about him a lot. Secret Bayesian man. No echoes today. Yes, I know. Wasn't that nice of the orderlies to let me outside, Moose Car Blade? We all know I'm knucking futs. I think Betts in Houston, one of them will be the last defensive end. I think they're right there next to Betts. I have them at 50-50 on who they're cutting and who they're keeping. All I know is if either one of them are gone, somebody's going to end up on somebody else's roster. I think Betts was more consistent all preseason. In Houston, knew his job was on the line, and he showed out versus third stringers yesterday. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it with a grain of salt. I think Mikai Wingo makes the team. Damn, I missed it on Friday. I was moving my daughter back to school. Oh, yeah, it's that time of year. Everybody's going back to school. For me, if I was in that room making the decision at quarterback, it'd be Goff, Hooker, and Fromm. I would send Sudfeld packing. No, I haven't yet. I I don't like doing the 53 man roster prediction because rarely anyone gets all 53 right. If you look, everybody always misses on about 4 or 5 guys. But let's go through what I would do. At quarterback, the 3 I would keep, the one being the emergency QB that doesn't count towards the 53. Like I said, it would be Goff, Hooker, and Fromm. At the running back position, I don't think there's any question that it's Gibbs, Monty. Oh, PC payload, I completely agree about Summers over Neiman. Neiman did a good job doing everything else, but Ty Summers does something Ben Neiman can't do. He can sack. You know, that's the important thing. I wouldn't mind that because Mike White has a little bit more starting time than anybody in the NFL that we've got. And Mike White did have a 400-yard passing game and a win for the Jets that year when they were cycling through so many quarterbacks that last year before they got Aaron Rodgers. I don't think we're carrying Suckfeld at 2. I just don't. I got this gut feeling that he's gone, but that's me. That's if I was doing it, because I feel like Hooker has better stats overall than Sudfeld against better competition. Granted, he had a bad day in that first quarter, but at the same time, did we have a starting O line in front of him? No. Did we have starting running backs with him? No. Did we have starting wide receivers with him? No. It's it's all up in the air. Who knows? They might just keep one quarterback because maybe they don't have faith in Fromm or Sudfeld. I know they're keeping Hooker because they drafted Hooker. That's where I'm at on it. Whether it's as the emergency QB or the two, I think Hooker's on this roster. There's a reason why we saw him for 3 quarters on Saturday. So let's see. Wide receivers. We all know at the top, you got the three that didn't play. I like 90% of mainstream media says Suckfeld, but I'm not buying that stanky Kool-Aid, nor am I. I'm going against the grain. I'm being the odd man out and saying he's gone. And that's just my opinion. And we all know what opinions are. Uh, he was activated Sunday. So, yes, he is playing week 1. He returns to practice this week. He cleared all medical and now is able to join team practices this week. So, that's the big thing. So, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to get to see Reader out there with the ones. So, wide receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Khalif Raymond, because none of them pretty much had snaps all preseason. So, we know those are our top 3. I think it's Isaiah Williams, maybe Caden Davis, or DPJ, depending on who they like more. And I don't think we keep any more than 5 out of what them. What happened to Martin? Martin was getting ate up in double teams against the first stringers, and he hyperextended his knee. He's not supposed to miss any time unless the MRI shows anything other than a hyperextended knee. So, but he got gobbled up by double teams. And I just don't think Mekhi Wingo did enough to supplant him as DT4. I think Levi Onwuzurike is the 3. I think it's Reader, Aleem, Onwuzurike, Martin, and Wingo in the DT room. Chris Smith in his one game of showing something isn't enough because he just looked awful all off season. No, I think Isaiah Williams makes the roster. I said that. I'm not denying his talent. I think with what he showed on special teams, if it wasn't for a penalty, he'd have had a 30-yard punt return on Saturday. So I think he stays. Caden Davis is the one I question because, yeah, I don't get how PFF is so high on Wingo. I was calling it out. The play where Martin hyperextended his knee when he was taking on the double team and he planted and he was trying to push through, it allowed Wingo to go right through that hole created between the center and right guard, and he missed the running back, which led to a touchdown on that drive. He went right by him on that draw play. And I understand it's a fake and it's a draw play and it's a rookie mistake, but that's a bad one because the running back was still in front of him and he didn't even see he had the ball. But they gave Martin a low grade because he had a penalty. And it was a holding penalty where his finger got wrapped up in the jersey when he was pushing back. And what sucks is that was, whose sack was that? I believe that was the Pascal play where they stopped him behind the line. It wasn't a sack. Gilmore hit the guy and then Pascal tackled him. I got both Williams in the wide receiver room making the roster. The tight end room, if we keep 4, it's Laporta, Wright, Zylstra, and Hess. If we keep 3, it's Zylstra over Hess because he's a red zone favorite for Goff when he played in the NFL. before his injury. So, because think about it, Zylstra had 4 touchdowns that year in the red zone in 2022 after we traded away Hawkinson. I don't think anybody other than Caden Davis and maybe DPJ makes this wide receiver. And Brent says, "Dang it, JB, you make me want to smoke a cigar." That's what I do. I promote freedoms. Offensive line. Manu had a bad game, but so did Sorsdal. I don't understand how he got rated so high. Oh, I do. He didn't have any penalties. Sorsdal was getting beat like a redheaded stepchild by the defensive end on that side of to start the game. It was awful. Until the second stringers came out, nobody looked good blocking. The interior O line looked good the entire time. I'm taking Shane Zylstra over James Mitchell, 100%. Um, I don't even think James. How many? I think we're going to keep at least 5, if not 6, on the defensive end room. And I was talking about tackles. So it's either Sorsdal and Manu. One of those two on the one side and Skipper on the other. I don't think either one did enough to supplant Skipper as a backup tackle. That's just my opinion. And I'm going to give the leg up to Manu because he had better games for a longer streak before this last one, according to his PFF grades. And according to what I saw, the eye test. I am smoking my cigarettes, brother. I'm outside. The defensive end room, well, we know it's going to be Davenport and Hutch as the starters. Pascal and Ukwu. And then it's a toss-up between Betts or Houston for me. Betts did it consistently all preseason and didn't change from how he looked. Houston had this one good game, and it might be enough to keep him because he's drafted. That's what I'm getting at. I just don't think Betts will make it past the practice squad, and we know Houston won't make it past the practice squad. If he's able to play in a game, he's healthy enough to play. But at the same time, yeah, I know he had 2 false starts. Manu's up. Bed sores is down. Yeah, you hate Sorsdal, I know. Manu needs reps. 2 false start again Saturday. But he had a good pass blocking grade. That's what I like about Manu. Smoking Dad in the building. I mean, I hated seeing all the pressure coming past our right tackle last week, or Saturday. I was sitting there going, man, Sorsdal, he might have played himself onto the practice squad. But at the same time, he was good enough at guard that I have to think, because Coyote Awasika didn't have a good game versus the starters of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he started in the NFL last year. We didn't see Glasgow, but I saw Duke Clemens, and Duke Clemens looked good. We saw Kingsley Ekikun look okay in the second half. So there's a decision to be made there, because I think we're going to keep 10 offensive linemen. But I don't know who they're going to keep between Betts and Houston. I can't read that on how they're feeling right now. But I almost think they should keep Houston and let Betts go to the practice squad. Manu Sasquatch looked good except for the false starts. 100%. That's what I'm saying. When he was blocking, he was great. He didn't get holding penalties. They were there. It depends on if it's an Achilles strain or a tear is undone. We will see what happens in the MRI. If it's a tear, he's out for the season, which means CJ Moore is automatically on the roster, or we're going to be looking to grab somebody. But with Lewis Cine hitting the waivers, and if you're making him a backup, because this is somebody we talked about drafting at 32 when we had that pick. Betts has a ton of upside. Keep him. I agree. I know autocorrect gets everybody, Brent. I'm just saying, the bend that I've seen out of Betts all preseason reminded me of Houston, his rookie season in game. The change of direction, I think, is a little bit better. His spin move is good. His bull rush is good. What he doesn't have is a good swim move. Whereas Houston really didn't have that dip move that he had. He kind of had to bull rush and swim through that guy to get the sack. Kudos, he did it, but it's not the same look of a sack as what we saw his rookie season. Now, granted, he had to develop that all off season because he doesn't have that same bend. He doesn't have that same change of direction. And his first step is not as great as it used to be, which is why I think Houston could go to the practice squad or Betts. I would rather keep Betts myself. That's where I'm at. Everybody else can kick rocks. And if they keep 6, they'll keep them both. But I have Ukwu as the 4 right now. I've already named the defensive tackles. You can learn to swim. You can't teach speed, which he has. Absolutely. And I've been preaching that about Betts ever since we got him. I love Betts. Betts does look quick. But other than Sorsdal being a recent draft pick, I don't see how he has earned a spot, in my opinion. I'm in the same boat, unless they're going to keep him to replace Coyote Awasika at left guard. Because Sorsdal was better at left guard and garbage at right guard last year when he was backing up. Just my opinion of what I saw, because when Coyote Awasika had to move to left guard because Glasgow had to play center when Ragnell was out, Sorsdal did not look good at all. Coyote Awasika looked better. But prior to Coyote Awasika being called up from the practice squad, Sorsdal looked good when Jonah went down when Glasgow was at right guard. So I do see why they might keep him. Back to work. See you Tuesday night and Friday. All right. Good to see you, PC. Have a great day. Don't work too hard. I don't think anybody supplanted Khalil Dorsey. Right. I completely agree with you there, Fred Peterson. Linebackers, we know it's going to be Anzalone and Campbell as the starters. I think Ty Summers made a stamp that he might be able to supplant Rodriguez. I think they'll keep Rodrigo because he was drafted. Biggest concern ending their season, and if any? Not really. We've been a top 5 offense 2 years in a row without a tall wide receiver on the roster, so I don't see where that's a need unless they're not going to keep DPJ and Caden Davis. Caden Davis is 6'2.5". DPJ is at that 6'2 and 2 3/4, 6'3" size. Then you have to look to see if the Bengals cut Hakeem Butler, if he made that roster or not. Because if he didn't make that roster, that's somebody I'd swipe off of a practice squad to the active 53. 6'5", 4'4", 40, 225 pounds, makes contested catches, ran decent routes. I like that kid, and I hope he does get cut. I'm not as high on John Mechie as everybody else, because John Mechie, so far for the Texans, he didn't even make wide receiver 4 till Tank Dell and the other guy got hurt. And that's when he finally made wide receiver 4 for the Texans. And he had an okay year, but he didn't play the whole year, is what I'm saying. He had an okay half a season. Butler was cut. That is interesting. So that'll tell us everything. If they cut DPJ and Caden Davis, I would love it if we bring Butler in. Because he immediately goes to the active. He immediately becomes our wide receiver 5. But because of his height, they can do so much more with him because he has height and speed. I just think it's crazy. We haven't seen one move out of the Lions camp yet. I'm going back to the tracker now to see if anything has happened. Still nothing cut there. Oh, Hakeem Butler was waived Friday. Gotcha. So he's back to the roster. If he was waived, he automatically goes back to the roster on Sunday. Because those early waiver wires, they don't matter. It's the ones that happen today and tomorrow that matters. I just like to. What is Butler all about? He was the offensive player of the year in the UFL. He has speed. He can jump out of the gym. He does nice contested catches. He's a big reason why that team won their championship when he was with them. And I just think that kid could be good. I have to do a quick station break. I'm going to show. I need another pop. The Huddle Sports Network app commercial again. I'll be right back.
Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Brosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
Thank you for 6'5", 4440. That's what I was talking about. I like him. Even though it's a poor camp preseason, I think DPJ makes the team just because he's a proven NFL wide receiver. That's why I said I don't think he's gone. The main thing, broski, I agree with that assessment. That's why I had him as either the wide receiver 5 or 6 on the roster. I just think Isaiah Williams played better than him all preseason and may have proven he's worth being wide receiver 4. But I said, if they don't keep him, that's a guy I'd look at bringing in. Now the defensive backs. We all know it's Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, Amik Robertson, Ennis Rakestraw, and then I still think Khalil Dorsey gets it over everybody else. I think Vildor will end up on the practice squad, along with Stephen Gilmore if they clear waivers. The safety room with the Iffy injury, we may be keeping CJ Moore, or we're going to look to the waiver wire for our 4th safety, because I personally don't think CJ Moore did enough to be on the roster. Brendan Joseph made some plays here and there. We constantly heard his name from announcers. We constantly heard about how well he played in camp. And of course, Kirby Joseph and Brian Branches are starters. So I think that's our top 3. And then it'll be iffy when he comes back if it's a major injury. If he's out for the year, then it's going to be somebody else, but it's iffy right now. Yeah, if he's got an Achilles injury of some sort, it hasn't been verified if it's a tear or a strain. And of course, Jake Bates and Jack Fox round out the end of that. And our long snapper is Scott Daly. I think Hogan Hatton's gone. On a couple of those misses, if you look, the holder struggled to get the ball down, and that does affect. He wasn't going to be the starter, Ricky. You can't have a breakout year if you're not a starter. That's my opinion on it. You know, you can say what you want. Branch is the one that's primed for the breakout year. Nickelback is probably Amik Robertson. Either him or Ennis Rakestraw, Broski Bear. is one of the two that'll be platooning that nickelback spot. Terrion Arnold is our CB2. Carlton Davis is our CB1 for now. And the only reason why he's there is because he's a vet. I personally would almost put Arnold and Rakestraw out there on the outside and let them live or die by the sword myself over Davis, because Davis has great numbers versus DK Metcalf. He has decent numbers versus quite a few elite wide receivers in the league. But at the same time, I haven't seen him play a full season in 3 years. Yeah, but only in special packages. They don't run that all the time, Ricky. That's what I was saying. If he wasn't going to be on the field as much as you think, he wasn't going to be able to do that. It, not when the 4-2-5 is predominated on 5 corners, 3 corners, 2 safeties looks. It's 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, 3 corners, and 2 safeties is the usual starting formation in a 4-2-5. Occasionally, you may play a 3-4 or a nickel or dime package where you might see more defensive backs on the field where you can switch out. Broski Bear, I agree with you. Arnold and Rakestraw, both of them ran poor 40 times, but go look at their track GPS college times. They posted 2 of the fastest times in college in the top 10 on plays. So they both were dealing with lingering illnesses and injuries at the time at the combine. That's why they ran so slow. But you could see it on the field. When I was at practice, you could see they're fast. Let's get Butler. I kind of agree, but I think we're going to be stuck with DPJ for all the reasons that Broski Bear said. You know, Broski Bear listens to all of us podcasters. I've seen him on Will Rocks. I've seen him on Dan Thornton's. I've seen him in a couple other places. I've seen him also comment a few times on Woodward Sports, I believe. The biggest question for the Bears right now is who's going to be the 2 backup QBs, the emergency QB and the second string. I say they should roll with Bajent and Ripien and let the other guy go to the practice squad because he may clear it. But I've also heard rumors that they are shopping Tyson Bajent. And one of the teams they're shopping him to is the team that had a backup QB throw 5 picks the other day. The Dallas Cowgirls. I don't like the idea of anybody in our division making the Cowgirls better. They added players that were ranked better than what they had. Nate Davis, I think you finally saw him take the field last week. I still don't know how good he'll be. He can't stay healthy. So I think they're better. Is it enough to push them over the edge? Maybe. I'm not going to say yes or no yet. I haven't seen that starting O-line play together enough to grade it yet. I mean, in the short samples, they've done okay. But at the same time, Caleb was rolling out due to pressure, which means somebody was letting up the pressure. So at the same time, and we've seen Caleb hold the ball too long and do a little bit of the hero ball stuff that he did at USC because the pressure was coming. Oh, I get it. I saw Bajent last year. Didn't he win 2 of those 3 games when Fields was hurt? And he didn't have a pick till that 3rd game, if I remember right. But a lot of that has to do with teams not having film on him and not knowing him, too. No, they don't have the money to sign Dak. That's the problem. They don't have enough cap room to be able to sign Dak to a massive contract because he's already making 58 cap hit this year. If you sign him, it'll either add or detract from it. But at the same time, Dak hasn't proven he's worth extending. Bears starting O-line has been intact except for right guard, which is Nate Davis's position. Absolutely, I agree. But at one point, you guys had four of them hurt, and I'm glad they're back healthy because I don't wish injuries on any team, even division rivals. Parsons said he'll play on the tag. They don't have to work out Parsons yet because Parsons is going into his fourth year as well. So Parsons said he'll take the fifth year option next year. Caleb's not as mobile as Justin though. I don't see where everybody's so scared of him. Cow turds are a hot mess. Who do I got for the Super Bowl? Yeah, that kid has potential to be great. I think he could be a starter in the NFL. Bayesian has a fast processor and gets rid of the ball quickly. The Jets got to prove to me that Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy more than 4 snaps in a season before I say that. And remember, he's going against the linebacker that hit him when he ruptured his Achilles last year in week 1. Again, because that guy is now a 49er. I think it's Lions versus Chiefs. Until the season's played, that's my early prediction. I've said that before. I don't know. Till I see somebody knocks the Chiefs down, I'm not putting them out of the Super Bowl. And I figured out how a first place team missed another first place team on their schedule, guys. Go look at the Arrows concert tour. Taylor Swift did her concert back at the end of last season during the playoffs in Detroit. I got Ohio versus Michigan, Bengals versus Lions. Why not? Joe Burrow hasn't proven he can stay healthy for more than for a full season yet. And Brent says, yes, I do too, as long as we stay healthy. Yeah, I'm trying not to be that homer and say that. Okay. He's more side to side mobile, is what I saw. That he didn't go out and actually run as much as everybody thinks. But yes, he is athletic. I don't get me wrong. I didn't say he wasn't athletic. Don't confuse what I'm saying, Broski Bear. I just don't think he's as athletic as Justin Fields. Oh, sleeper Super Bowl prediction. You heard it here first. Panthers versus Patriots. Boy, Ricky, I don't know what you dipped into this morning, but it must be really strong. I hear you, Broski Bear. So that's where I'm at on the 53. Um, I, I I don't have any major surprises there. I don't think there is any. The only one that'll surprise me is if Sudfeld makes the roster. I understand they love him and he's got NFL experience, but his NFL experience has even sucked. That's just my opinion. I know Bustin's a knucklehead. Don't get me wrong. Bustin Fields. I called him Bustin Fields, and it wasn't because he was a bust at the time. It was because of your O line. I still think that if that O line could have protected him, Justin might have been better. I still have my season prediction for the final standings of the North being Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings. I haven't changed from that. I'm not going to change from that. because I don't think the Vikings have done enough to make me move them out of the basement. Because remember, only 15 points of offensive scoring kept the Vikings from being in the basement last year. That's literally all it was. I call them busting field goals sometimes. I think it's hilarious. Um, I was dying listening to Chicago podcasters that don't like Caleb Williams at all. They were calling him Caleb Williams, LGBTQB1, which I coined at the combine, after the combine, when he wouldn't take any drills and he talked to the media a couple times. What did I think about Trey Lance this weekend? He's awful. He proved exactly what I thought of him coming out of college. I heard from so many people, oh, he's going to be good, he's going to be this, he's going to be that, and I said he's going to be a bum. I just said he's going to be a bum, and he is a bum. Cooper Rush is the QB2 there right now, unless they trade for somebody, and I think Cooper Rush is just fine. As a matter of fact, if they don't draft a quarterback next year, Cooper Rush might be their starter. Remember, he went 4-1 in that 5-game stretch when Dak was hurt a couple of years ago. He had 3 games where he didn't even throw a pick, and he threw like 3 touchdowns or more in each game. So I didn't have Trey Lance beating out Cooper Rush at all. Pat Rothwell, I wonder if B Bear watches Bears podcast because he's always on the Lions ones. Wasn't the Bears that had the second most sacks? No, 2 teams had 85 sacks each. Bears actually gave up over 60. So I think they were either third or fourth. Flores will probably get the Vikings defense to overachieve, but the offense, yeah, I question that offense a lot. The Bears defense, I don't question. I don't care what anybody says. Don't forget this Friday, we are doing the fundraiser to make Cameron Luke, a Lions fan that's been on this podcast, some money to help go towards his kidney transplant operation he has to have within the next 3 months. I'm going to be auctioning off a few of my souvenirs. None of them, I'm not going to part with my Barry or Amon-Ra. I'm sorry. I might put the Charles Harris in there. I just won't do it. I may auction off my Cam Akers and my James Robinson mini helmet to anyone that wants it. Cam Akers is looking good for the Texans. It looks like he's making that roster. Man, 48 minutes has gone by. But so far, I'm going to check the Lions transactions again. No, not. Still, no cuts have been made. The last thing on there is the Lions side, CB Rashad Wildgoose. I'm going to close that and go to one of the cut trackers to see if they have anything. Go to the Sports Illustrated one. I want to see if they have anything listed. Still nothing listed even on Sports Illustrated or Pride of Detroit. What are your favorite names for the Packers and the Vikings? I call them the Fudgies and the Queens, respectively. I have always called Minnie Minnescrota. I have always called the Packers the Pack-Tards, at least the fans. That's what I've called them. And I've never said anything other than the Bears for the Bears. Broski, do you watch any of that stuff that Dave Swirsky puts out? You know, when he does his remakes about the Bears for the songs and stuff? Thank you, Dad. I'll put that up there. So St. Brown bobblehead will be in the auction as well. Thank you, Dad. We appreciate it. Cameron will appreciate it too. So far, I've raised $10 by Cash App. My Cash App is down here if anybody wants to send anything as a monetary donation. All the money will be sent to, once we figure out shipping for everything, all the money will be sent out for Cameron by next Sunday. Yeah, I know. I've been struggling to find it too. I can't find it. It was there that day and I should have bought it then, but I didn't have the money directly on me, and now I wished I would have. When it comes to the Packers, FTP sums it up nicely. 100%. Will Vogel, thanks for hopping in the chat. We are 51 minutes in, and it's time for talking sponsors. You know what we got. We got the two that don't pay me, but they're our favorite, waiting on the third. We got Fuck the Bears. And, of course, we got Fuck the Pack, put it in the chat. And, of course, we got Fuck the Vikings as well. I'm doing great. I'm doing this a fresco. The sun's just coming around the corner. It's almost getting me. Brent, that's a Lions fan knee-jerk reaction because they are cheap. The Bears have drafted a lot of players both sides of the ball. They brought in players as well. Bears top 7 CBs, all draft picks. I know. That's the only thing about it, but it is a collectible. I might look at it, see if I can fix it. It's probably missing the spring or something. I just think that the Vikings haven't done enough to move him out of the basement for me. They're pretty funny what he does. Like he did that song "The Season of Loving" by Steve Miller Band, and he did it about the Bears. It was hilarious. I love watching him. I follow him on Instagram. It's the time, the Bears of the season, the Bears. It was funny. And last but not least, we have the sponsor that I love the most because they pay me not only for sponsorship, but they also pay me as an employee. It's Brandon Service right at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road, 602 West Atherton Road, here in Flint, Michigan. Flint, where the water's shit, but the tires are great. Stop in and check us out. Used tires starting at $40 and up, depending on condition and size. And if you need new tires, please give us a call at 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself. We will get the new tires in within a day after we get you the quote. We've had a couple of fans that have stopped in. The Lion King has stopped in and bought tires from me, as well as Steve Bauer and his wife bought a set of tires from me. So, hey, I'd like to see a few more of our fans stop out, say hi at least, if you're in the Flint area. I'll tell you what, I probably won't do too many more hot days like this, but come this fall, I might do a few out here when the weather's cooler outside like this. I like it. Um, you could say we're cheap, but we have one of the most expensive offenses in the NFL there, Brent, or a Broski Bear. Who is my surprise team for this year? I don't know why, but I still think it's going to be Washington and the Bears sneaking in at the back end of the wild card round. I just feel like it's. I feel like the Cowboys are going to fall down. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs for a change. I just don't see it. And Jamar Chase is returning to practice for the Cincinnati Bengals, so they do have their full wide receiver room going to be practicing this week for Week 1. I kind of predicted that. I kind of predicted that Ayuk would return to practice, and he did that last week. CD is the one that's willing to hold out and make Jerry sweat. He wants to be paid, and he's not backing down. And kudos to him for it. Is it going to hinder him? Maybe. Bears and Washington drafted stud QBs. Based off of potential, yes, 100%, Broski Bear. There are 4 starting rookie linebackers this year. Drake May was announced the starter for Washington or for New England, and Bo Nix was announced the starter for the Broncos. So we got 4 starting rookie QBs. Michael Penix is the backup and may get to play week 1 as a starter, but Kirk O'Chains is named the starter for the Falcons. A breeze. That feels good. I just wanted to be outside. I just think you guys needed to see exactly why I'm called Smoking Jeremy B. When I'm talking football, there's a cigarette in my hand and a Mountain Dew right by at my disposal the entire time. I'm living up to the name. Thank you so much for watching. It has been an amazing day. Let's watch this cut down tracker the rest of the week because that's what I want to see. Matt Stafford may not play. He's still dealing with a hammy strain. Puka Nacua still hasn't played, but is trending toward playing. They're saying he might be able to return to practice as soon as Wednesday, but he has to be able to practice as of Wednesday to be active. If he's not able to practice, Puka Nacua won't be out there. And what we're going to see is Stetson Bennett, which means Kelly Stafford won't be coming to Detroit because they don't want him seeing that guy. We all know why. We know what happened with Joe Cox in Georgia. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for making us better. We are currently at now 504 subscribers. I don't know who just subscribed, but thank you for subscribing. This has been Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. I am doing Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B. Thank you so much, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow at noon. We should be on tonight if Dan Leonard can handle it for the Monday mashup. And we'll be going over the cuts made by the Giants as well as the Lions because we should have some more clarity as to who's gone. Booing my children. She should never be allowed for thinking that in the Ford field again. My goodness, we never booed her kids. Have a great day, everybody. Try to be a better person than we were the day before because that's the only way to make the world a better